Hello, this is Ruth Hollingshead, trustee for Site for Wight, welcoming you to this week's Talking News.
Site for Wight Talking News for Friday the 22nd of May 2020.
This is Den reading an article from the Isle of Wight County Press. Dog Tales of the Unexpected. There was a time when the Isle of Wight carried the nickname Isle of Dogs. The origins of this are lost in time, but one old newspaper reported this was due to dogs outnumbering people on the island. A 1953 Frederick Warne English Dictionary definition of wight, with a small w, is a creature strong, nimble. Does this equate to a dog? Many years ago, when the island was predominantly agricultural, working dog numbers would have been far higher than today. The Isle of Wight hunt hounds would also have outnumbered horseback riders. Yet this still doesn't account for the misnomer, which confused the Isle of Wight with the Isle of Dogs area in East London. Today, there is no doubt that many Isle of Wight residents are currently dog owners. The county press frequently includes endearing photos of pet dogs and reports of various dog breed gatherings. A look back into yesteryear provides some particular Wight canine tales of the unexpected. In 1950, a Welsh Springer Spaniel became an attraction. He accompanied his owner, Captain E. Ireland, flying high above Lee Airfield, which is now Sandown Airport. According to Captain Ireland, Rufus has more than 150 flying hours, sharing the cockpit with his master. This may have been a good advertising ploy, for the Isle of Wight Flying Club pilot drew crowds of onlookers when he put on several thrilling aerial displays during the summer season. The newspaper asked, "Probably the first flying dog in England?" Not so. Another pet pooch took to the skies years before. Flight Lieutenant Francis Luxmore, director and pilot of Portsmouth, Southsea and Isle of Wight Aviation, PSIOWA, pioneered dog co-pilots. In 1928, he engineered an extra cockpit in his privately owned light aircraft for Reggie, his terrier. Luxmore flew many scheduled PSIOWA passenger airplanes into Ryde Airport, though on those flights Reggie was not his co-pilot. Another dog gained attention in Sandown in the 1950s and 60s. A canny street photographer found a way to capitalise on a cinema Alsatian sensation. The Adventures of Rin Tin Tin ran on America and British children's television from 1953 to 1959. The photographer set up his pitch near Sandown Zoo with Khan, whose pedigree went back to Rin Tin Tin. Who are we to question Khan's ancestry? I recall my late father did. He was unwilling to pay for me to be snapped with Khan, otherwise known as Rin Tin Tin. Not the real Rinty, he said. The original dog star of Hollywood died in the 1930s. Another Rinty was used in the 1950s US TV shows. Was Khan also a flying dog? Did he wing to the Wight from Tinseltown? It mattered not to summer tourists, who happily paid and posed with the handsome wonder dog. A boxer outperformed them all in the 1960s. He enjoyed his daily pint in a Ryde High Street pub. His party piece at the Prince of Wales was to arrive at lunchtime with his master and sit down at the bar. The man ordered a drink for himself and one for his dog. The landlord served him, then took down from the shelf the boxer's own beer mug. He half filled the glass. It was placed on front of the dog on the floor. The dog looked at the glass, then looked at his owner, and looked back at the glass again. He made no attempt to lap at the ale. This continued for several minutes. Eyes up, eyes down again, to the amusement of customers. Finally, his master's voice ordered a tot of whisky. This was poured into the half glass of beer. The boxer immediately began to sup up. Tourists returned the next day to watch a repeat performance. Thus the landlord pulled more pints. The pub was closed down years ago, though the Grade 2 listed building still stands. Did it harm the dog? It wouldn't be allowed today. As is often said, the past is a foreign country. They do things differently there. Were flying dogs a barking mad idea? Pet passports are commonplace now. The trendsetters, decades before, who had a bird's-eye view of the world below, were Reggie and Rufus.
This is an article from the Isle of Wight County Press, read by Brian. Bridge and chess success. Bridge. This year's winners of the Marie Curie Bridge Tournament hail from the island, a first. Alexis Dogilewski and Anne Grevitt of Bembridge beat off strong competition from more than 2,000 players nationwide to win the tournament. The tournament is played annually throughout the winter months, starting in September and finishing in March. The aim of the event, which has run for more than 25 years, is to raise funds for Marie Curie and has amassed more than £1 million for the cancer charity. The tournament, which offers rubber bridge and Chicago, sees players divided into groups of 6 couples, with each pair up against the other pairs in a round-robin group format, with all games played online at home. With such a healthy number of players on the island, organisers encourage more to take part in the next one. For more details and entry forms, telephone Diana Thompson on 01371 872246 or email dianathompson113@btinternet.com. Chess. The Isle of Wight Chess Club has switched to an online format of the West Midlands Area League since the C19 outbreak. The island team beat Worcester 2 by 3-1 to move to the top of Division 2.
This is an article from the Isle of Wight County Press, read by Chris. Do you attend the eye clinic? Help to shape future services. As the charity fast approaches its 125th anniversary this year, the key message is that the organisation wants to be here for another 125 years to serve islanders as best it can. But the charity can only do that if those same people fill in the form and tell the Sight for Wight team what they think. It's not quite in it to win it, but not far off. To take part in the survey, see www.surveymonkey.co.uk/r/Sight for Wight.
This is Howard reading an article from the Isle of Wight County Press. Key workers defeated by primary holiday club prices. Isle of Wight School says it's protecting staff. Parents say they're being charged £63 per day to send their children to Lanes End Primary School in Cowes after it closed for a 2-week half-term break to enable its staff to prepare for the return of years 1 and 6 and those in reception. They were given 7 days' notice of the school's plans to stop lessons and to replace classroom time with a paid-for holiday club. The Love Lane School said it had acted to protect its staff, allowing them time to prepare for the government's new measures, which are expected to start on 1st of June. The school, however, says the club costs £31.50 per day, or £3.50 per hour per child. It means parents with 2 children are facing a cost of £63 per day. Key workers say they've been reliant on the school during the coronavirus crisis. Working through a pandemic is stressful enough without an added childcare dilemma. One parent said they felt defeated because they need the care given by the school to allow them to work on the coronavirus front line. Another was disappointed and felt key workers were not being supported. One parent told the county press, working through a pandemic is stressful enough without an added childcare dilemma, saying it had been too late to juggle shifts at work. In a statement, Lanes End Primary praised its staff and said they needed time to prepare and to be with their families. Head teacher Caroline Seiss said, "These are very unusual times, and as a school, the team have been supporting brilliantly all key worker and vulnerable children, putting themselves and their families at risk. The team have gone above and beyond in supporting our families and providing emotional and well-being support, learning opportunities, and delivering food hampers, as well as adapting to new and different ways of working." With the government's announcement that schools may return on 1st of June, the school took the decision to close for its half-term break so that we are ready to open in line with the country if this goes ahead. The support from my team and their well-being is very important to me, and they needed time to prepare for the opening and also have time with their own families before returning to school. The team needed time to prepare for the opening and also have time with their own families. The head teacher said, "With this in mind, we made the decision to close the school, but offered an alternative provision in line with the government guidelines, which is self-funded childcare provision, so that we can continue to support our key worker families while the school is closed." The Isle of Wight Council said it doesn't control Lanes End Primary School because it's an academy. Instead, it's overseen by the Regional Schools Commissioner.
Alison reading from the Isle of Wight County Press. How to sign an online book of remembrance for those who died of COVID-19. An online book of remembrance has been launched for all those who have been living in the UK and died as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. The book, named Remember Me, was set up by St Paul's Cathedral in London. The church has invited people of all faiths, beliefs, or none to make a contribution. Here is what you need to know. In support of the project, His Royal Highness Prince Charles, the Prince of Wales, has recorded a video message. His Royal Highness said, "This virtual book of remembrance is here to help us remember, not just to recall our loss and sorrow, but also to be thankful for everything good that those we have loved brought into our lives and all that they have given to others." From Friday, May the 22nd, 2020, family, friends and carers of those who have died can submit free of charge the name, photograph and a short message in honour of a deceased person via the Remember Me website. The deceased person must have been living in the UK. Remember Me will be open for entries for as long as needed. To launch the project, the choristers of St Paul's Cathedral have recorded a special piece of music to serve as an anthem for the Book of Remembrance. It is intended that the Remember Me site will become a physical memorial at the cathedral. A spokesman from St Paul's said that the cathedral has approved designs for a new inner porch in the north transept and, subject to funding, it will serve as a memorial for all who have died as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. Every person is valued and worthy of remembrance. The Dean of St Paul's Cathedral, the Very Reverend David Eisen, said, "For centuries, St Paul's Cathedral has been a place to remember the personal and national impact of great tragedies, from the losses of war to the devastation of the Grenfell Tower fire. We have heard so many sad stories of those affected by the pandemic, and all our thoughts and prayers are with them. Every person is valued and worthy of remembrance. We are all experiencing the devastating impacts of COVID-19 across the country and beyond. Remember Me is an opportunity to mourn every person we have lost to the effects of this terrible disease, an encouragement to offer compassion and support to those left behind, and an ongoing recognition of the impact of the pandemic on the UK. Members of the public can register details of their family member or friend on Remember Me at rememberme2020.uk.
This is an article from the Isle of Wight County Press, read by Terry. One of the island's oldest charities teams up with Rapa Nui to ask islanders to be creative. Have you got talent and inspiration? Sight for Wight didn't want to be yet another charity begging for more cash, so Lisa Holyhead, interim CEO, is looking to a bigger challenge. Instead of money, we initially asked for beautiful clothes, and the island has been so generous. Thank you. Now we hope creatives can tackle our next big issue, how to show off those great clothes with a new logo, a brand mark, which encapsulates the sustainable, economical but gorgeous, glamorous clothes we sell, and we're excited to have Rapa Nui on board to help judge it. The world of retail is changing fast, but we all know that quality at a good price is still critical. Also, everyone has probably all given what they can for now, money-wise, and to some great causes. So this is a different way of giving, but just as critical to us. Sight for Wight wants its agency, Dress for Less, to be instantly recognisable and something which people look to for inspiration for smart, casual and formal dresswear and accessories, but still be associated with the work of the parent charity. The fact that it all benefits the charity is an added bonus, because when you see the clothes and accessories, you really wouldn't know it was a charity agency. Anyone still wishing to donate smart, casual or formal wear should contact the charity by email on retail@iwsb.org.uk or call 522-205. To find out more about the quest to design a logo, visit www.sightforwight.org.uk.
This is an article from the Isle of Wight County Press, read by Den. Isle of Wight actor Jamie to star in Channel 4's First Dates Hotel. Musical theatre actor Jamie Buckley swapped the stage for the screen when he took part in TV programme First Dates Hotel. Jamie, 31, of Bembridge, took some time off from touring with Joseph and the amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat and flew to Italy in the search for a date. He said, "It was a year ago when it was filmed. I took 3 weeks off from Joseph and flew out to Naples. It was an amazing experience." He was kept in a separate hotel the night before the date and was only allowed out of his room at certain times, so he didn't chance upon his potential partner in advance. Jamie has kept tight-lipped over how his date went, but it will be shown next Thursday, May the 28th, on Channel 4. There is a chance we may get a sneak preview tonight when the audience is given a glimpse of the next edition. Jamie runs West End Workshops Live, offering work for actors and workshops for aspiring ones during close down.
This is an article from the Isle of Wight County Press, read by Brian. Shellfleet village stalwart Molly celebrates 100th birthday. A treasured member of Ningwood and Shalfleet's Women's Institute, Molly Earle, has celebrated her 100th birthday. Molly was born in southern Rhodesia on May the 20th, 1920, but came to the UK in the care of relatives after the death of her parents. She met her husband Stanley when they were both with the Royal Artillery based in Southampton during the Second World War. She had a long nursing career which she enjoyed, and it came in very useful in the raising of her 5 boys. On Stan's retirement, the couple looked at property on the Isle of Wight, where Molly had visited with relatives as a child. They moved to Shalfleet, where Molly still lives, and the new estate grew around them. She has been a stalwart member of the Women's Institute for many years and remains a most valuable member of the committee, which benefits from her knowledge and experience. She opened the great exhibition in May last year, celebrating 100 years of Ningwood and Shalfleet Women's Institute. Because of the COVID situation, no party could be held for Molly, but family, friends and neighbours waved and sang outside her window with gifts, flowers and balloons.
This is an article from OnTheWight, read by Chris. Council urges caution visiting beaches and esplanades and asks second homeowners to stay away. Dave Stewart says it remains the Council's priority to protect our island community in the best way that we can, and urges second homeowners to stay away from the island. Despite the easing of lockdown restrictions, the clear advice from the Isle of Wight Council is still that holiday makers and second homeowners should stay away. Although the Prime Minister's recent announcement said people could drive as far as they wanted for daily exercise outdoors, Mr Johnson later clarified, "We don't want to see people, let me repeat, we don't want to see people travelling to another home for a holiday or a second home." The leader of the Isle of Wight Council, Dave Stewart, reinforced this advice and urged islanders to maintain the 2-metre social distancing rule when outside over the bank holiday weekend. Councillor Stewart said, "The move to a new phase in the national response to coronavirus is best summed up in the new message from the Prime Minister to stay alert, control the virus and save lives." It remains the Council's priority to protect our island community in the best way that we can. To that end, we want people living on the island to be safe and alert when visiting popular locations like beaches and esplanades. Observe social distancing and try to not visit at busy times. And the message for those on the mainland who may be thinking of visiting us is, please stay away at this time. It is not yet safe for us or for you to come to the island. We will tell you when it is safe to do so.
This is Howard reading an article from OnTheWight. The Isle of Wight Council eases restrictions on what you can take to the tip. Isle of Wight residents will be able to take more items to the tip for recycling from Monday, but trips must still be essential. As part of the gradual reopening of the Lynbottom and Afton Marsh Household Waste Recycling Centres, HWRCs, the Isle of Wight Council is easing restrictions on the type of waste residents can take. Vans, trailers and pickup trucks will also be admitted on site with the appropriate permits, while from Tuesday 26th of May, the current one-way system on Brittlesford Road will be lifted, but the temporary 30-mile-per-hour speed limit will remain in force. Natasha Dix, the Council's Strategic Manager for Waste, said, "Thank you to everyone who's used the HWRCs responsibly over the past fortnight. We continue to urge people to only consider visiting the tip if it's genuinely essential. Booking and making a journey to recycling centres must only be undertaken if your waste or recycling cannot be stored at home safely or disposed of safely by other means, such as your curbside or bulky waste collection or garden waste subscription. And certainly do not visit the tip if you have symptoms or are confirmed to have coronavirus, that's COVID-19. From Monday, HWRCs will accept all the usual items except general black bag waste, nappies, sanitary waste and cigarette butts, etc., which people should continue to put out as part of their curbside collection. In order to maintain effective social distancing measures to protect staff and visitors, entry to recycling centres is by pre-booked appointment only. To book a slot, visit the website. The system has also helped to avoid congestion on Brittlesford Road, allowing the one-way restriction to be lifted from next Tuesday. Social distancing must still be maintained. Natasha added, "It was important for us that we opened the centres in a managed way to ensure our approach helped to maintain social distancing on site. The centres can only remain open if we all do our bit to help maintain social distancing, which helps us all control the spread of COVID-19. So far, people are supporting us in this, for which we're really grateful. However, I must emphasise that the reopening is not a return to normal, and I would urge residents to only visit our HWRCs if they really need to. Public safety and that of our staff and the need for social distancing is of the utmost importance."
Hello, this is Sue, reading an article from the Isle of Wight County Press. West Wight search teams in freshwater concern for Isle of Wight man. Hampshire Constabulary says its officers were called out just after 7 p.m. on Thursday night after concerns were raised about a man aged in his 70s. Needles and Ventnor Coast Guard rescue teams and the crew of Freshwater Independent Lifeboat are involved in the ongoing operation today. Freshwater's lifeboat crew was called out for a second time at about 6:30 a.m. Yarmouth RNLI is also in the freshwater area this morning. The search started last night, Thursday, at around 8:45 p.m, as the Isle of Wight County Press previously reported. It involved the Coast Guard helicopters and the Isle of Wight Coast Guard and lifeboat teams. Wight SAR has also been involved. The Isle of Wight Search and Rescue Organisation says it was called out after the discovery of a vehicle in the Freshwater Bay area.
This is an article from OnTheWight, read by Terry. Lack of vision to encourage cyclists in Yarmouth, says owner of proposed cafe on cycle track. A proposed cafe next to Yarmouth Common has been refused by the Isle of Wight Council. The applicant of the cafe in a container on the cycle track says, "There is this new vision to encourage cyclists in the UK, but not around here. Plans to serve refreshments, cakes and ice creams to those who use the common from a restored shipping container, which included a bicycle parking area to the side, to allow cyclists to enjoy the cafe, have now been halted as the developers will have to appeal against the decision." Isle of Wight Council planning officers said the development would constitute a conflict with the existing public footpath provision for cyclists, as well as being out of character with the surrounding area, appearing unduly prominent and visually obtrusive. Objectors from the town said there's no need for the cafe, as there are more than enough nearby in Yarmouth, and that the bicycles would impede the enjoyment of residents and visitors, as well as blocking the public access to the waterfront. Yarmouth Town Trust, who own the common next to the cafe, objected, saying the seawall is under serious pressure and would put the path and seawall under additional strain. However, changes had been made to the application, adding wooden cladding to the kiosk to help make the appearance sympathetic to its surroundings and to look rustic. Innes Newman, who proposed the kiosk, said, "It's a real shame and I feel quite deflated." A lot of objections were about cyclists leaving their bicycles on and around the footpath and on the common, but we said we would build a bike parking rack at the top of the road away from the common. However, people were still not happy about that. There is this new vision to encourage cyclists in the UK, but not around here. Lots of people I've spoken to have said it's such a good idea, but I suppose it's the people who don't want it to happen who have the louder voices. As for the look of the structure, we can design anything to blend in with the keeping of the area, even make it look like a bird hide. Anyway, I will sit down and have another think about what course of action I will now take. There are 28 days to appeal the decision, or until the 10th of June.
This is an article from the Isle of Wight County Press, read by Den. Isle of Wight charity looking for donations of clothes and will collect. Could you clear out clothes for charity? During lockdown, many people have been sorting out all those outfits in the wardrobe they won't wear again. Now's the chance to bag them up and donate them to a great cause. Cocktail and wedding frocks, posh prom or ball gowns and tea dresses, evening bags or handbags gathering dust at the back of the cupboard. Dress for Less is a dress agency which sources a wide range of smart, casual and special clothes for a variety of occasions and all shapes and sizes. Every penny raised supports Sight for Wight, the island charity for people affected by sight loss. It is opening its dress agency online to supply people with pre-loved clothing and accessories for a fraction of the original cost. Collect outfits you no longer need and put them in sealed plastic bag, message Sight for Wight via their Facebook page, email retail@iwsb.org.uk or call 522205. To go shopping online, visit eBay on www.ebay.co.uk/USR/Sight4Wight. For more information, email retail@iwsb.org.uk or call 522205.
This is Chris reading a letter sent to the Isle of Wight County Press by Joan Bailey from Ventnor. This lockdown brings benefits. I have just driven around part of the island for the first time since the lockdown, and the verges look beautiful with wildflowers and cow parsley. What a change from last spring, when island roads decimated all the wildflowers. Would it be possible for island roads to stay in lockdown until the autumn to give the countryside and the wildlife a chance to bloom?
And now the Isle of Wight County Press Looking Back column, read by Steve. Headlined, Ace striker Roy Shiner, the Isle of Wight's most successful footballer. What would Seaview-born centre-forward Roy Shiner be worth in today's money-mad world of football? During his 9-year career in the Football League, which incredibly didn't begin until he was 27, he scored 107 goals in 196 appearances. If he had gone into the game as a teenager, his name might be up there alongside the likes of Greaves, Rush, Shearer and Rooney. Roy's life changed here on the Isle of Wight in the summer of 1955. He was then with Huddersfield Town and had completed his 4th season after moving there from Southern League Cheltenham. They had been surprised when he told them his age. He was 27, but they thought he was only 24. It was not a memorable stay. He only played 22 games and scored just 6 goals. However, he impressed Sheffield Wednesday when he played against them in their shock 4-1 win at Hillsborough. That eventually led to a scout chatting him up during his close season break on the Isle of Wight. When interviewing Roy back in the 1970s, he said, reflecting on the offer, "I was then over 30 and delighted to get the chance of a move. I respected their manager Eric Taylor and had played well against them. They paid me £17 a week, and when I married Maureen, they gave us a club house." Wednesday had wanted Roy as a replacement for Derek Dooley, whose leg amputation had shocked the nation. He was told he would play in the first 6 second division games. In his third game, Roy scored twice in a 4-2 win over Leeds United, despite being marked by 1966 England World Cup winner Jack Charlton. That season, he scored 33 goals in 42 games. They won promotion to the First Division, what we now know as the Premiership, and when this was clinched, he was carried off by his teammates to the crowd chants of "We want Shiner." Modest as ever, he once remarked, "I only finished off the other lads' good work." Mind you, either side of him were club legends Jackie Sewell and Albert Quicksall. In total, Roy played 153 games for the Sheffield club, with a return of 93 goals. He scored his 100th career goal in the Owls' 2-1 home win against the Busby Babes, the pre-Munich air crash Manchester United team, on January the 19th, 1957. His goal turned out to be the winner, in front of a crowd of 51,068, the most memorable game of his career. That season, Manchester United were champions, and Wednesday finished 14th. Roy's Hillsborough spell was a far cry from those at Ryde Sports and East Cowes Vicks. It included Division 1 soccer, tours abroad, club banquets, his photo on cigarette cards, and friendlies against Juventus and Honved, Hungary's top club. Roy was also marked by some legendary centre-halves like Billy Wright, Mark Jones, Dave Ewing and Maurice Norman. Before deciding to come back to the Isle of Wight, he signed for Hull City and scored 8 times in 22 games, before ending his career back at Cheltenham Town. Roy, who was so proud to be an Islander, began his local football career at East Cowes Vicks, where he was eagerly signed on by their secretary, Albert Hales. There were no managers doing it in those days. In that Vicks side in which he played at left back were Mike Gallagher, Bern Butler, Bo Knott and Don Pragnell. In one epic cup game, the Vicks beat their more senior neighbours Cowes Sports in a very bruising battle. In the Cowes team that day was a Birmingham City player called Mitchell, who it's believed was serving in the Royal Navy. After the game, he asked to see Roy, who thought he might get a punch in the nose. In fact, he was impressed with his game and offered to get him a trial at Birmingham, all this during the Second World War. But Roy's dad saw the value of having a trade career and wanted him to finish his carpentry apprenticeship. Eventually, Roy became a striker and signed for Ryde Sports. He mainly played in their reserve team. One report in a local paper went on to change his life. It read, "If Shiner could kick with his right as well as he can with his left, he would be in the first team." His father ran the Eagle Hotel in Ryde, and for weeks Roy spent hours kicking the ball against the wall with his right foot. He made the first team and scored 50 goals in a season and got their FA Cup winner against Southern League club Poole Town. In 1948, Roy scored the hat-trick for Hampshire against Gloucestershire and was spotted by a Cheltenham Town director. He subsequently had trials with Wolves and Portsmouth but could not land a deal. Going semi-professional with Cheltenham eventually led to a move to Huddersfield Town. When Roy retired from football, he came back to the Isle of Wight and took over the reins at Seaview Football Club. He was an instant success and they quickly won the Island League title. Then, suddenly, Roy became the Pied Piper of local football. He was so popular, as both a coach and as a person, some great island players signed for him. That led to Seaview being the team to beat. Their battles with Bradingtown and Parkhurst were worth travelling miles to see. People still talk about them to this day, particularly an amazing game at Newport's Seaclose Park when they beat Parkhurst 7-6. It was arguably the finest match ever seen on the Isle of Wight. I had a brand new overcoat on and ripped it getting under the barbed wire to see the game, but I felt it was worth it just to be there. During Roy's days as the Seaview manager, so many talented footballers played for him. There were at least 4 Allen brothers, if not more, together with Nobby Nash, Dubby Cole, Jock Campbell, Pete and Doug Eames, Arthur Durham, Tony Grimwade and so many more. They won numerous trophies. Several followed Roy when he became the Newport manager. He changed the face of the Church-Leighton club, who had always relied heavily on mainland imports. Later, Roy, who died back in 1988, managed East Cowes Vicks, and then took an ageless St Helens team to great heights. Roy was such an inspiration to so many, and the huge turnout for his funeral proved that. He had such a great sense of humour, and would have loved a story that was revealed after the service. Oscar Stretch didn't have a suit to wear, so he borrowed one from Nobby Nash. They were both pallbearers. Oscar's borrowed suit was too big, and as they went into the church, his trousers began to fall down. In the end, he had one hand on the coffin and the other holding his trousers up. P.S. Oscar's never given the suit back.
This is Chris, reading an article from the Sight for Wight newsletter. Letter from the Chair of Trustees, Sue Bungay. After 3 years at Sight for Wight, the Isle of Wight Society for the Blind, Chief Executive Miriam Tong is leaving to pursue other interests. Isle of Wight Society for the Blind wishes Miriam all the best for her future. In the light of Miriam's departure, we are excited to announce the appointment of our new interim CEO, who will be known to many of you already, Lisa Holyhead. Lisa joined the charity in January 2018 as our finance officer, and during her 2 years with us has made huge strides forward in her role. So we are delighted she has accepted this interim role whilst we advertise for Miriam's successor as CEO. Lisa, herself registered severely sight impaired since birth, is a qualified chartered accountant, and having run her own 2 Isle of Wight businesses, we know she will prove a great asset to the charity.
This is a poem written and recorded by Jan Beaumont.
Cheers for chocolate. There are some things in life that you can't do without, those things that make everything great. When you're feeling quite down or you're sad or depressed, here's happiness right on a plate. I'm talking about chocolate, that food we all love. I don't care if it's milky or dark. Black Forest or mint or the old fruit and nut, on a chocolate affair let's embark. There's Snickers and Kit Kats and Crunchies and Twix. Of Reese's I've got a huge stash. There's chocolate chip cookies, and then for a treat, a cake spread with creamy ganache. Who doesn't like chocolate? There's no one, I'm sure, doesn't crave that delicious ingestion. For the answer is chocolate every time, and you don't even ask, what's the question? I must say I feel quite a rush of delight as those cream eggs go in through my lips. I cannot say no, even though I'm aware of how long they will stay on my hips. There's some say that chocolate is better than sex, but I'm not sure if I'd go that far. It might just come close if you take off your clothes and spread it all on from a jar. And then when it's late and the day's at an end and the final good nights have been said, you can go in the kitchen and heat up some milk and take your hot chocolate to bed.
Sight for Wight would like to thank you for listening to this week's edition of the Talking News. We would also like to thank our volunteers for reading, and a particular thank you to the Isle of Wight County Press and OnTheWight. A special thank you must go to Vectis Radio, who has helped us get vital information to our members.